Thinking. Let's come back briefly. Hey, this is Day 9 TV. We learn to be a better gamer. And I'm having crippling media indecision trauma. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? What game should we be playing? Actually, let's not talk about games. Let's not talk about games for a little bit. This is the intermission. Let's talk about something non-game related. Any of you play Ultimate Frisbee? Frisbee is really fun. Frisbee is fun for the same reason Rocket League's fun. Just seeing that just the arc of the thing in the air and all the ways that you can manipulate and throw it is just so satisfying. Hold on, let me see if I can get this. I'm trying to be careful because I'm not wearing pants, so I don't want you to like see any inappropriateness or even worse, pull out my headphones. This is oh wow this is weirdly, this is literally bright white. Oh no, it's because reflection. Okay, I understand. This has special significance to me, this Frisbee, because when I was in high school, I played a lot of Ultimate Frisbee. Actually, let's talk about Ultimate Frisbee. So, what once upon a time was babble has congealed in my head into a story. So here's I think, a very important thing to note about me. I'm not very good at doing friendship. Just in I guess, and maybe I'm actually kick-ass at it. I don't know how you do friendship, but I'm not the best friend in a lot of ways. I have a small number of extremely close relationships, like Rob or Tristan or Britt or Eric. Like, these are people that I like to sit with and just chat for a long time. Like my friend Kelly, talked to her for 2 hours before the show. I'm not the sort of person who will just contact 6 people who I'm kind of close with just to have like a board game night. I don't organize like that. Like, I'll attend if I'm invited, but my whole life I've always been extremely completely loner, solo, or one-to-one friendship sort of thing. And this was true especially when I was a kid. When I was a kid, it did not occur to me the idea of just like having a group of friends. Didn't even really make sense to me. In fact, most of the time what I did is I went on long bicycle rides. Like, I'm talking 15 or 20 miles a day as a small kid. I would just circle this huge 4 to 5 mile perimeter, or this huge block. And I would just do that a bunch of times and just think through things and just disagree with the things I thought. Maybe try to make it stronger and rethink the other thing. And of course, like, it's all just like nonsense, little child stuff. But that's sort of how I operated as a kid. And when I was in grade school, I sort of tried on friends, almost like, trying on a hat and going, that seems weird. I remember for a long time I would invite that guy to my house, this guy to my house, then this guy to my house, and then this guy. And there was no repeats. There was pretty much no one who I wanted to hang out with. Well, no, it's not that I didn't want to. It's like it was not that I hung out with them and said, you are not satisfying my needs in a friendship. It was like way more primitive than that, which is like, I invited this person to my house once. I guess we are friends now. And I thought about the label and far less about what it was giving me, because I was completely content being an utter solo-y dude. And I remember when I was in, gosh, it must have been 6th grade, there were 2 exceptions to that. Sean and Charlie, 2 of my very good friends in elementary school. And Sean, I'd go to his house and we would have one computer LAN parties. I don't know if this was the case for you when you were a kid, but when I was young, LAN parties were not a thing, really. Well, I mean, I was 10, so I didn't even have the concept of party introduced to me yet. But I'd go to Sean's house and he would play Myth, the original Myth, and I would watch, just be amazed. Oh, the physics, were they blights? blight beasts, something like that, that would just, no, whites, that's what they were. They were whites. The guys that would move real slow and they explode and detonate. And, this is sort of the thing of who I was, right? Like, I didn't really have a friend group or a thing. And I was at Sean's place, and Sean's dad suggested that I come to this Ultimate Frisbee League with him. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. And this is one of my first introductions to the idea of organized fun. It was a huge, empty field that they divided up into like 13 Ultimate Frisbee fields. We play Ultimate Frisbee together. And it was really cool to be part of a thing, to be participating in like this huge, there's like league games that would happen, and they would like say, Sean, you're off, Sean, you're on. They talk about like forcing and about flick and the backhand, and hammer, which I'm still really shitty at. And it was, I feel like that is a really crystal clear example of what sort of person I am. I am absolutely not the sort of person who likes to just hang out. Like, come over, we'll have some beers and let's sit there. I like projects. I like things to work on. You saw me just now play Rocket League for 3 hours, and I was like, burying my face in I dropped a rank. And I thrive on that. I love that. I love that thing. And now I'm going to, even when the show's done, I'm going to walk away from the show. And I'm going to have whatever happens on Friday night. And I'm going to be thinking, shit, I really got to practice dribbling. And now I've seen consistently in every single game that when it's at the corner, that's the problem. How do I attack that problem? And that's the thing that gives me this feeling of home. This feeling of like, no, this is what I am. I am someone who is working on trying to figure out how to score the goal when I'm on the sides in Rocket League. And with Ultimate Frisbee, I was like, yeah, Thursday nights, I go to the field. Sheriff, you're ruining my flow, but I do love you, so go ahead and let's snuggle. Here, come on, right there. That's good. Get comfy. Thursday nights, I'm going to play Ultimate Frisbee with Sean and Sean's dad. Sean's dad went by Scooter. Oh, that's what everyone called him, Scooter. He was, super ripped and very good at Ultimate. But that was like my first introduction to organized fun, going there on Thursday nights, learning about different plays and how to throw the Frisbee. And then they said, hey, this Saturday is a tournament. And I was there all day and I got sunburned. And it's like this project, this long-term thing just created this whole set of experiences that felt very rich to me. I didn't even know how to describe it, but it felt good and satisfying. I was in 6th grade. Woo! So I must have been in 7th grade then. Yeah, no, it must have been, is that 6th, 7th, or 8th grade? Something there. Started to do that. So, and I got really into it. I used to like practice with my Frisbee, like throwing it outside and stuff. Sometimes I didn't have anyone to throw with, so I would just try to like hit the tree and shit. And then as I entered into high school, there was an Ultimate Frisbee team that was very ad hoc. I went to Rockhurst High School, which you can look up. And Rockhurst High School is a super sports-focused high school. Every teacher in that high school is a coach. There was only one non-coach. That's Mr. Elmore, who was this awesome-ass history teacher. Everyone else was a coach. And they'd be like, hey, coach, hey, coach. And I didn't want coaches, right? I like Mr. Elmore. I like Mr. Hagedorn, right? I like these people who were anti-coaches, who were intellectuals. Well, the other coaches were intellectuals too, but if they got the label as coach in my high school mind, I couldn't help but eye roll, because things are black and white when you're in high school. You don't understand the complexity and nuance. That's a smart person that teaches a sport. Can't process that. I'm in a high school. That's not how it goes. They're coach or they're not coach. Done. I remember there was a Mr. Annual. Wonderful, lovely guy. I mean, honestly, gave me a bunch of personal and emotional support in high school. Met him freshman year. He was a theology teacher at Rockhurst. And he started an Ultimate Frisbee team. He, too, was an ultimate, a lifelong Ultimate Frisbee player. And they started the Ultimate Frisbee team, and I was in very good shape at that point in time because I'd been biking 15 or 20 miles a day. I'd been playing Ultimate Frisbee. I had almost a 5-minute mile time. What? Like now, I can't even think about exercise for 5 minutes without having a heart attack. I used to be able to almost run a 5 minute mile. It's like 5:05 or 5:08, something like that. I was fast, dude. And I did cross country there at Rockhurst, but man, ultimate frisbee. I had this sense of identity, and I mean that's something that I still think about a lot today. What makes me feel like Sean? What makes me feel like me? And ultimate frisbee, that made me feel like I was me, right? Because I was bad at friends, right? I didn't get along with anyone. I think the person I connected to most was my brother. I mean, even though we fought like the way brothers did, he was the person who like got what it was like to be playing StarCraft, because we've been playing for 4 years at that point, right? He was really closest person, yeah, in my life at that point. And when I was in high school, I really struggled to find that friend group where I felt like I fit in, because the idea of a friend group I could sort of grok. I was joking at the start of the story about as a child I didn't get anything, but man, at when I was in high school, I was like, well, who's my friend group? And I couldn't, it didn't quite fit. It didn't quite, God, I literally have no friends from high school, to be clear. After I left high school, I have no friends. That's how hard it was for me to find someone to fit with. But my God, when it was spring semester and it was ultimate frisbee, and I was at the practice, just feeling the frisbee and being able to communicate with people, like force away, and being able to connect people like that, that just made me feel like, yeah, no, I'm home. This is a thing that I do. I get ultimate frisbee. I'm really into that. And as time went on, I wasn't biking as much. I mean, honestly, I did the standard American thing, which was what I did school, and then I went home and I did homework, and then it became late evening, and I either did TV or video games. In my case, literally exactly StarCraft. And I didn't have as much athleticism just happening naturally as I did when I was a youth, just bicycling everywhere. So I got more and more and more and more out of shape, or out of practice. I wasn't throwing the frisbee as much anymore. And I remember it was either my junior or senior year, there was a big ultimate frisbee tournament, because I was on ultimate frisbee all 4 years in high school. And again, it felt sort of like my thing and sort of like my identity. And I remember there was a tournament coming up, and we'd rent a van that maybe could house 7, 8, 9 kid, house them like their factory equipment. It could only hold maybe 8 or 9 kids. Big van, but not enough for the maybe 15-person team. Coach Aniel called me and let me know that they were going to be bringing someone else to this tournament instead of me. In other words, Sean, we're going to bring our 8 best, and you're not one of the 8 best. And it just like, ugh, oh my God, oh, that like burned, that hurt so much, that like, oh, I wasn't good enough, and I was like all sad and bummed, and it was obvious that I was not one of the better people on the team anymore by the time I'd hit senior year. Freshman year, I was like tip top, but by the end, if they wanted to win a tournament, they really shouldn't be bringing Sean. It was the correct choice, but oh my gosh, that just hurt. And I remember just thinking about, it doesn't really matter. There was this rational part of me that was like, this doesn't really affect much. I'm really into StarCraft. That's really my thing. Of course, I haven't been training very much. I'm not one of the fastest people on the team anymore. I was a really accurate throw, but still, it wasn't one of the best people anymore. And that rational side was like, yeah, that makes sense. But there's this other side that was just like, I don't know, because that was like my little home. That was like one of my little identity pieces that I had. And I remember just how much that hurt that day. And I remember sort of, gosh, probably even for a year, like even as I went into college, that was my senior year of high school, even as I went into college, I remember thinking about that, and it hurt. It hurt a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. I was like, ugh. And I mean, God, that coach, Mr. Annual was so nice about all of it, and continued to talk to me after it, and continued to talk to me even a little bit after high school ended. One of the greatest people I've known. And that pain, it stuck with me for a little bit. But then, time went on. A little time passed. I had my whole college experience. I did a lot of StarCraft. I went to all my World Cyber Games. Woo! American champion. All that good stuff. And it changed. It changed into something different. It wasn't this thing that I was into and then, the bad experience happened. It was just bad. And weirdly enough, this Frisbee that is not showing up very well, this is the thing that I've kept the entire time, that over time that memory's become better and better and better and better, and now it's just nice. Here's the story of this. We went to Madison, Wisconsin for a tournament. And I'm from Kansas City, right? So we were in Kansas City. We went to Madison, Wisconsin. Oh my gosh, the high school was called Inver Grove. Wow, Inver Grove. Oh my gosh, Inver Grove. What was the name of that tournament? I can't even remember. This must have been when I was either a sophomore or a junior. We went to this tournament and we'd been training really hard. We'd been really practicing, and I remember we were at the tournament and we were in the semifinals and we got knocked down. So there was no way we were going to hit the finals, period. So we were in the third, fourth place match, and the game score was not very high. It was tied 8-8. And I think, at this point in time, I can't remember exactly how the rules worked, but it was just like a time limit thing where it's like, okay, whoever scores at 9 is just they're just gonna win. And I remember the Frisbee that we were using was from the other team. It actually might have been the Inver Grove team. And I remember just this long chuck deep into the end zone. I remember sprinting. And this was the Frisbee. This was the Frisbee that was thrown at that third, fourth place match. And it was flying, and there were two guys trailing me. And, I'm running really fast, and I hear the thump, 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 thump. It's all running. But I remember looking up at the sky. It wasn't a perfectly blue sky. There were a couple clouds, and I could see it spinning high up. And there's that moment in my head where I just thought, I'm absolutely not going to miss that. There is no way they're going to catch me. There's no way they're going to knock it down. We won the game. And I remember I took this huge leap and I just swiped it. I just jumped up and grabbed it, threw it down, just grabbed it. I remember just holding it down like this. And I looked back at my team and they're all like, yeah! Because, I had sprinted to the other end of the field away from everyone else. I remember holding that Frisbee, and I felt so good that moment. That moment where you look up, and I could just see blue sky in the clouds. I could just get the do, 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 and everything in my body just said, you're going to catch that. You're definitely going to catch that. You're definitely going to win the game. No, oh my gosh, no heart, anxiety, no adrenaline, no nothing, just knowledge of what was going to happen, and I just grabbed it. And I remember just taking I just took the Frisbee, and I threw it over by my clothes, and I was like, yeah, and we celebrated, and we shook hands, and I took this home. I stole a Frisbee. I just took this Frisbee. And I've kept it. I've kept it since high school. And I remember in college, I had a little thumbtack board, and I just would hang it. And I would look in college, I'd look back, and I'd remember that moment. I'd remember that catch. I'd remember seeing it fly in the air. You see the cool thing, the cool eye and the demon face thing? It's not supposed to do that. It was just, landed on the ground and got scratched. But gosh, I see that hanging on my board, and I remember that moment. And when I'd move, I don't really have a lot of possessions. It's like my clothes, my electronics, my toiletries. And his Frisbee is one of the few sentimental objects I just continue to keep. I've just continued to have. And even in grad school and after grad school, when I was focusing completely on doing the dailies, I would every now and again take that Frisbee out with my friends. Every now and again, I would take that one out and just throw the Frisbee around a few times. And that little memory just felt so nice. So nice. And I don't know. It's just it's just kind of funny how there was that just tragic moment where I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough. This thing that was my identity, Ultimate Frisbee, got cut from senior year. And I just keep thinking, no, that was a really nice experience. It's a really nice thing to have done. That one day when Sean's dad just said, hey, come play Frisbee with us. Didn't even know what I was getting into. That's what I got into. So that's my story. We accidentally told the story. Good nostalgia. Let me go ahead and do a segment cut, because if we end up uploading that as a video, that's a good story. That's a good story.